but of course we're going to talk about the breakdown, how the market is performing. Let's just jump into it. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is iTrust Capital. This is where you guys can get into a crypto IRA. You can also trade gold and silver within your IRA over at iTrust Capital. So there is a lot that you can do, very easy to set up. One thing about iTrust that I think is probably the most important is just the breadth of tokens that you can get access to. It is very, very cool. And of course, one of the top platforms out there to make your retirement funds work for you. So you guys jump into it, use our link down below. It gives you a $100 funding reward to get started. Listen, is the rally over? Man, I don't know, but you know who can help us. And that, of course, is Tim Warren coming in from Tim Warren Trades. How are you?
I'm doing good, Paul. Good to be here again. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, jump over there right now, hit subscribe, get into the crew. He and Shroom do a great job at really breaking down things, and I love the content, Tim. So you guys keep doing what you're doing, man. Pop it in there.
Thank you.
Hey, there's a lot going on. You know, we had the Clarity Banking Act thing that was just absolutely insane. We've done so many videos on this. My brain is like fried on the amount of stuff and research that we've had to do. But essentially what happened, the Clarity Act stalled. The banking committee is now kind of left up to trying to pick up the shambles. Banks, I think, got in with an overreach with all the amendments. We had a nice thing cooking. Bitcoin was on the move and everything was looking good. And then bam, here we go. What do you think? Where does Bitcoin stand right now in terms of the charts? What does this look like?
You know, it's crazy because the charts on longer time frames still have a lot of good signs. There's some intermediate things. Like right now, the weekly chart's extremely bullish. And I'm sure if we went down to like small time frames right now, you could find some bullish stuff. I would say right now, and we can take a look here in a little bit. Tell me if you want me to the chart. But the daily chart, I would start to have some questions. Is this still bullish right now? We did go up and touch above 98K. I still think 100K is doable. I still think this move goes above 100K. But to be fair, we did hit my first level of resistance I talked about on the show weeks ago, months ago at this point, once we bottomed out back in November. But then the 4-hour chart right now is starting to give us some buy signals. So there's a lot of mess going on. There's a bullish formation. But when I saw that news, when I saw the banking committee, right, the other day we reported it like this is looking positive, this is looking good, they're going forward. There's kind of that thought of like, man, Charles Hoskinson's going to be wrong. We are going to get this thing passed in Q1. And then today you're like, oh crap, Charles Hoskinson might have been right. Like maybe we don't pass it, in which case that's not good. And then you have Donald Trump out here speaking a lot about Greenland and about Iran and about more tariffs. And I told some of my buddies earlier today, I was just like, Trump needs to put the microphone down and go play a good round of golf. I think he just hasn't played golf in a while. He's uptight. He's not thinking. Put the microphone down, Trump. Let the markets get a breath of fresh air. Go play a round of golf. Rethink your messages, and let's come back and try it again next week.
Hey, I've got a clip here from Mike Novagratz. He talks about why the bill stalled, and it might give you some insights as to whether or not Bitcoin picks up here or not. Take a look.
They worry if stablecoins are allowed to effectively accrue interest or some other kind of points or other things, that there would be deposit flight. That is right now. That's the central issue because they're not allowed to technically yet.
It's so interesting. Whenever you have a new technology that's disruptive, the incumbents say, no, we don't want to give up our monopoly. They are using community banks as a shield, saying, oh my God, it's supposed to be deposit flight from community banks. The reality is if people wanted to move out of community banks at low interest rate, they could move to SoFi or tons of the neobanks that already offer much better deposit rates. But remember, stablecoins are mostly a way of U.S. projecting power to the rest of the world. And if you don't allow some interest or some mechanism to generate interest on stablecoins, you're going to continue with this monopoly where Tether has the majority of overseas stablecoins. And so hard to compete with the incumbent unless you can, offer something different. And for me, I just keep saying, we got to get this bill passed so we can move on and the industry can start growing. And if it's not perfect, who cares? We'll fix it in time.
I don't know if I'm in agreement with if it's not perfect. I get that, listen, it's probably not going to be perfect, but some of the things that came through on that bill were a little bit of an overreach. I think that's the only thing. As long as we don't start getting into privacy issues, that's a concern. I'm on the fence on yields. We'll see, but it definitely is a different time for sure.
I think the best way to think about it is this, and again, there's a part of me that is in agreement. Let's get the bill passed. Let's just get going. But if you're going to answer this question for yourself, you got to ask your question: what's more than likely, that in the future the government's going to restrict more freedom or give more freedom?
Definitely
That's what we're kind of talking about right now.
Yeah,
think you want to start off with a very long leash, and then the discussion becomes, should we shorten the leash? Should we shorten leash? Should we shorten leash? I don't think the chances of them saying, let's start with a short leash and then stretch it out as we go is the better way of doing it. So I'm on board with what Brian Armstrong's saying. I do want to see a bill passed. I do want to see a bull market come to fruition again. But I am a big fan of, like, let's get a longer leash for crypto. And then if they want to shorten it later on, that's a discussion for future politicians to have.
Yeah, you got Bitcoin traders now predicting a strong run-up. This could happen if we get another wind underneath the Clarity Act that could come back on a second round that could be much more favorable. What would it take on the charts right now, Tim, for Bitcoin to get a run?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I have, as people are watching this, my video just probably went out on my channel as well. I talked about in the last 8 days, I actually made my whole month's salary in the last 8 days trading Bitcoin. And then at the end of it, I give a trade setup for both directions. So you asked me about going up. I'm going to answer it both up and down. So whether people are watching right now and they're bullish or they're bearish, what is the case for a big run up above 100K? Well, I'm going to start off with something I've been saying now for a long time. We are receiving weekly buy signals. If you don't like my indicator here, Neurowave, which again is very reliable historically, just take a look at the RSI, take a look at the MACD, look at traditional technical analysis, and you're going to find extremely strong reasons, bullish divergence, uptrending MACD, very strong reasons to say the weekly chart is suggesting a significant move up. Okay, even in bear markets, we're talking about big moves. Back in 2022, when we had the same thing happen during the bear market, we had it happen twice, in January and then again in June. Both of these moves were 45% moves to the upside. We're not talking about just a little rebound bounce. We're talking about a significant bullish move. Bitcoin could do the same thing here. So the bullish case starts with weekly buy signals. And then more specifically, there's two things I'm kind of watching to the upside to talk about where we could get over 100K. Number one, let's start off with this formation right here. This red flat line with ascending green line. This is called an ascending triangle formation, and it has a breakout pattern predicting that we could make our way all the way after this breakout, all the way back up to 111,000 almost. I'm going to shorten it a little bit. That would kind of take us back over to some of these highs we had in January. If you're a bear right now, you're like, oh, look at that, almost a perfect looking head and shoulders pattern. The other thing I'm going to say a little bit lower than that, we're going to cool down. I would say the big target would be the 200-day moving average. Right there, currently sitting just below $106,000. So let's call it 105. Give it a couple more weeks to keep dropping. That's above 100,000, right? That is the case right now to say Bitcoin, even if you're bearish, should make a move back to that 200-day. I mean, people need to remember, back in 2022, people are going to reference this a whole lot. I'm bullish. I think the 2026 is going to be very bullish. But if you're a fan of 2026 being a bear market, go back over here and take a look at what we had going on during this time frame. I just messed that up. Give me a second. I'm going to get back to it. I can't show the weekly buy signal. You have to trust me on this one. Weekly buy signal comes in. We start to make a move up. Where do we reject? Right at the 200-day moving average after a 45% increase in Bitcoin's price. Then we fall flat to the downside. So that's the case right now for a big move up in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. I want to turn this off, though. I told you I'd give you a flip side. I say this in my video, so people can still watch this if they want to. Some people are not necessarily agreeing, though, with this red trend line. It is one that a lot of technical analysts are using right now, but I want to give some credence to where we just touched here. Let's clean this chart up. Let me get a different chart real quickly and have this fixed a little bit. There we go. I'm going to get rid of that line. You can see the green uptrend very, very cleanly. What about this line here? After now watching this, you kind of can say, all right, that looks like an ascending level of resistance right there. We've had a support, resistance, support, now resistance touch. And if we keep heading down, if we do lose that former horizontal level of resistance, now turn support around 94.4, if we lose that and we start heading back down towards this green line, especially if you make a breakdown below there, it's not as simple. Some people are going to say, Tim, is that just a rising wedge pattern? A rising wedge pattern would suggest a breakout all the way down here towards $78,000. It gets worse than that. If we make a bearish break right now below this green line, I think you're actually possibly looking at a bear flag opportunity. We're talking about a situation maybe where they do keep kicking the regulatory bill, the Clarity Act, down the road. We do see more tariffs come in. We see a complete global fallout from things that the White House is doing, things from further taking us towards World War III. All of a sudden, that target becomes $60,000 to $62,000. That's your super bear case scenario. I tell people in my video how I plan on trading it, right? Even though I just give you a bullish scenario, give you a bearish scenario. I'm going to be honest with people. I'm a bull. I think the bullish scenario is more likely. But I'm also a trader who wants to make money. I'm not prideful about it. I follow the trend. If I see a breakout below that green line, I'm turning bearish. But until that happens, I still think a move above 100K is the most likely scenario right now.
Well, if you look at fear and greed, it's holding at neutral 50. I mean, this is way up on the chart from where we have been.
Yeah.
Granted, ETH has been trading pretty solidly, but it does hold us in a position. Really, I'll zoom in on that for everybody to kind of see where we were. Remember, we were at a 10 right there not too long ago. So quite a bit different of where we are now, trading at 50 with a neutral. When you look at that, along with what is going on within the ETH ecosystem, we're talking about Bitcoin that could get a reversal here. Now let's take a look at ETH. I want to play a clip for you because this is Tom Lee, none other than. He's got a new strategy that may have a little influence on the ETH price. Take a look.
You got to explain this to everyone, including me.
Mr.Beast is the #1 content creator in the world. 252 million views a month, which is more than the Super Bowl. And really, he is probably the iconic person for Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and arguably millennials. So he is probably one of the most important creators in the world. Beast Industries is planning to create a future platform of services, which includes digital items and even financial services. And that's really where a collaboration between Beast Industries and Bitmine will make sense. So
Kind of getting it. Could you have done this with Solana?
70% of all tokenized assets are taking place on Ethereum. It's had 100% uptime since inception. The only smart contract platform to have never gone down.
All right, so my question quickly, Tim, is can Tom beast his way through into Ethereum? And is this a deal or not? I mean, is this going to make a benefit other than just a soaring ETF? You look
That's
at
a
the
big
reach.
win. It almost to me would make more sense for Mr.Beast to partner with a Solana than an Ethereum. But hey, if they got that deal, that's a lot. I mean, we're talking about the technically not the most viewed YouTube channel in the world. I think there's like one or two people that technically have more views, but he's the biggest YouTube figure for sure.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. When you go to the chart on Ethereum right now, with all this is good news for both. ETH trading well above 3K again. What do you like and what do you don't like about Ethereum right now?
I'm still going to preface, before I do my two-sided technical analysis, I want to preface this with saying I believe we're going to shoot to the upside, right? I right now have trades in the long position looking for moves to the upside. Clearly, what you can see happening right here is a symmetrical triangle. Unlike Bitcoin had a flat level of resistance during the same time frame. There's clearly a decline in resistance. But ETH is still seeing, didn't mean to draw there, ETH is still seeing a higher low situation going on, a rising level of support. And what you do with this formation, you would take the opening. I'm actually going to not go to this one. I'm going to take the opening right here. We're going to be a little more conservative here because technically this formation started with this support touchdown here. So I got to come up to the next level of resistance. This breakout to the upside would send Ethereum in the short term, similar to what I said with Bitcoin going to like 100K, sorry, 105 to 110K. This would send Ethereum up towards the 4,300. It would be the target right there. I think if you wanted to be looking for a little bit more particular level, I would be a fan of using Fibonacci right here and saying, hey, are we really close to something? Actually, kind of sticks right there. Platinum Pocket at 4,300. Golden Pocket, just keep an eye on that one as well. Just below 4,000, 3,960 give or take is where the Golden Pocket is sticking. That's my short-term bullish scenario before all-time high conversations for Ethereum. But on the same breath, what happens if this ends up being a false breakout right here, right? You can clearly see that Ethereum broke above resistance, and I love what I'm seeing right here. If we can sustain this bullishness, a retest of that resistance level to support would be very bullish. But let's pretend, because I always like to be aware if I'm wrong, let's pretend we lose this red line. We drop back in, and then we lose this green support level as well. Some people will say, hey, let's be conservative here, and let's just take this exact same level. We'll move it down low. We're talking about an Ethereum drop to $2,200, right? That's a very conservative level. I probably, if I enter a short, would take profit at that level. But once again, you're looking a little bit more aggressively here and saying, man, could this be a bear flag of its own, right? A big move down paired with a symmetrical triangle pattern. We're talking about a move down here all the way to 1781. Let's call it 1800, back towards support levels we had in April of 25, pretty much. But in a nutshell, that's the bearish scenario. I still think this is the more likely, right? If anyone's asking, Tim, what do you think is going to happen? I think that's more likely. But I'm watching the charts. I'm reading everything. I still like this. I still like what I'm seeing on the weekly chart right now with our oscillators. They still make me feel like a big boom is coming to the upside. But I'm prepared for both scenarios. We are absolutely right now with Bitcoin and Ethereum, and you can look at almost any altcoin right now. We are in decision crunch moment. Do we break these resistance levels? Do we confirm support and make bigger moves to the upside? Or do we lose the support and all of a sudden you're looking at some blood? You're looking at a pretty gnarly pullback for a lot of these coins.
Yeah. Listen, Matic was making some moves, being Polygon, and they reportedly laid off 30% of their employees, started to reposition their entire infrastructure. A lot of new stuff happening with them. And of course, we saw the token moving up and down. Polygon, do you like this token? Because this thing was depressed, had a nice run here over the past week or so. What do you think?
I've been on your show before. We were talking about this a little bit before we went live. I've been here before telling you I'm out on Polygon, formerly known as Matic. I still like to look at the Matic chart because I like the chart history of it if I ever get asked about it. But I'm gonna sing a little bit of a different tune than I've sung in a while. I'm actually back in on Polygon, formerly known as Matic. And the reason why is because the flash that's happening on the price charts is not just this dead cat bounce, careless degen traders who said, oh, this coin's down a million miles. Let me just take a swing on it. The pumps came from fundamental changes that the Polygon team is working on to change vision for what the coin's going to do. I made a video on this last week and talked about the fundamental things that are happening right now with their team and the change to a more payment-based system, the new adoption that's coming in. Again, we're not just talking about an increase in trading volume. We've seen an increase in use case of the token and an increase of just overall metrics. And so when you say this thing, they just laid off 30% of their staff. Some people look at that as a bad thing. In the stock world, I know it doesn't work this way perfectly in crypto, but in the stock world,
that's good.
It's actually good for a stock when people lay off. And in this case, the reason I think it's good is because it's communicating their complete change in vision direction. They're laying off staff that will be worthless in the future because they won't be doing anything important. So this allows them to save and spend money in a better way. They can hold more of their own token, not have to sell as much to pay salaries and everything. You can see big break to the upside. I'm not surprised that we have a pullback here. I mean, within just a little over 1 week, they saw almost a 90% increase to the upside. We kind of called this on our channel, even that video, watch for reversals. I mean, we saw a bunch of rejection coming in. You see on this daily chart, there looks like a little bit of a pullback. I told our community, hey, look for a pullback. Let's look at the Fibonacci here. This kind of just screams to me, we probably want to pull back 50% of this move. Well, guess what? We're all right now. I predicted 13.5 cents would be an area to watch here. We're almost back to that level. Again, I just showed you that daily chart. Daily oscillators definitely told you, hey, take some profit / look for a short position. But guess what's happening out in the weekly chart? The MACD just crossed bullish right here after trending that direction. I mean, a boatload of bullish divergence coming in there. On my oscillator, the NeuroWave, while we haven't gotten a full, actually, I think if I zoom in there, actually, no, we have a full blown buy signal right there. We have the green dot. We have positive money flow here. Go back and look at the last times. We're not talking about anything pretty, but last couple of times we've gotten this bullish buy signal, we've seen decent bounces for Polygon. This time, though, the big question is going to be, can we break the former high, right? We have been in a downtrend officially. You can definitely say since February 23. I'd make an argument since January 2022. So this one, not even ever close to new all-time highs since the bear market started. But all you got to do to change that trend is just break above this line right here, the high from back in August. We just need to get back above 30 cents, and Polygon has some fresh life. The fundamentals have fresh life. Can the charts get fresh life? All of a sudden, this is a completely different coin.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a different, it's a different day now. I think maybe they get a little bit of flight underneath them. You have some other things going on right now. First of all, do you think, well, let's compare Solana first, because they had some news. Interactive Brokers now, another big partner, adds 24/7 funding with USDC on Solana. They also, IBKR, also added RLUSD with Ripple. So the key is this is traditional finance all moving in. Do you think Solana is in the right spot right now? And which would you trade, Ethereum or Solana today?
Yeah. I actually just tackled this question this week with a video that just went out yesterday, I want to say. Sometimes my videos, I forget which ones go out on which days. So I think I told you, I think I spoiled this on your guys' show last week.
Yeah.
Solana is my top choice for all coins. Doesn't mean that I think it's my biggest gainer, right? I think some other coins with smaller market caps can have bigger potential returns. I think in the video I made yesterday, I talked about a potential 3 to 4x is what I'm looking at for Solana in 2026. There's a chance it goes higher than that, but it's what I'm watching. One of the biggest reasons why is because Solana already has a decent sized market cap, sitting close to $90 billion. I'm talking about it getting somewhere between $250 to $350 billion before the end of the year. Major wins. And in the video, I talked about my reason why is because, to be fair, like you just said, Ethereum still has a lot of relationships with institutions. That's not a surprise. We always knew Ethereum was going to be a sweetheart to the institutional family. Solana, if you asked me this 6 months ago, will Solana be attracted to institutions? I would have said, yeah, maybe they'll start an ETF. Maybe you'll see some institutions dabble with like a company creating ETFs or a meme coin on Solana just to excite their community. I would have never guessed that Solana would actually be a serious contender for real tokenized assets being used by banks, by financial institutions, and yet here we are. So they don't have to outpace Ethereum. They don't have to have more than 50% of tokenized assets to be a bigger thing than Ethereum. I think the fact that their foot's even in the institutional world is a big deal. And the reason why is because until Ethereum fixes what they have going on, Solana's faster and it's cheaper. And if the big boys are trusting it to operate, Ethereum better watch out. I'm not saying Ethereum's going to crash. I'm not saying Ethereum will get kicked out of the number 2 spot. But I think Solana is going to be a whole lot more competitive than I thought it even would have been 6 months ago.
Well, if you look at the poll you guys ran, Shroom put up there, I mean, it's kind of split right now. Will Solana be the top chain, for tokenization between ETH and Solana? Kind of split right now on whether or not that's going to happen. And if you do look at the fact that we could see institutions start to play in the Solana playground, there are some unique elements with Solana that are quite a bit different than Ethereum. So that in itself is a big deal. How would I trade this though right now? If you look at the chart on Solana, we just showed it a little bit. What would your chart show for Solana? Should I enter a trade or not?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we did in that video right there. I mean, the best time to have entered a trade was back here when we retouched this support zone back at $119, $120, right? So this is where we got into it here a couple of weeks ago. If you're looking forward, though, you're still liking what you're seeing here. I'll show you. I told you you're going to see this on almost every chart. MACD's bullish, RSI's bullish, my NeuroWave, great bullish buy signal right there. I put a couple different levels here. I do plan on taking some profit around $190. This is going to be a pretty significant Fibonacci level. That's the golden pocket of retracement right there. So that's something I'm watching. think Bitcoin to 105 to 110K is the concept of, if we reject and put a lower high in on Bitcoin, we probably put in a lower high on Solana as well. And that's where that 190 is coming in my opinion.
Okay.
If we break above though, if we start hitting new all-time highs, I do all this in the video. I still encourage people to go watch it, give it a like, help me out in the algorithm there. But I'm going to do some goodwill, here and tell you guys my levels here. $400 is the next significant Fibonacci extension level. Whenever you get into price discovery mode, I always love to pull up Fibonacci extension, and you're going to find this can help you a lot. Like back here, we knew that a top for Solana would probably be in somewhere between 250 to 307 based on these Fibonacci levels. Get rid of that real quickly. Look at where Solana rejected those next two times, 250 and 300. So Fibonacci extension, very important for price discovery mode when looking at this stuff. Where are those levels coming in? 1.272 is coming in at 400. Golden Pocket's coming in at 600. And I put a third one out there for, I don't think it's going to happen necessarily in 2026 for sure. But if we have a raging bull market, don't count out $1,000 for Solana. We're talking about a $560-ish billion market cap. That's a tall tale. I'm not saying I'm holding to it. I'm a bigger fan of 400 to 600 right now as it stands, but I wouldn't be surprised if the bull run takes off like crazy and goes to 1,000. I just might not wait for it to take profit.
Man, Tim, I feel you are back in the game. Apparently, you're giving some price predictions there. Now I'm going to say, $1,000 Solana is a little bit of a reach for me right now under the current situation.
Yes, exactly. The current situation makes that a little bit unrealistic. And I said in my video, I tell people more than likely that 400 to 600 is more realistic as a stair stepper to a continued bull run, right? You got to think about this. If we're right that 2026 is bullish, that's the last argument, right? If 2026 is bullish, that's the last argument against the 4-year cycle. It's done. In which case, why couldn't 2027 be bullish?
Okay.
In fact, I'd make the argument if 2026 is bullish now, there's a great likelihood 2027 is bullish as well. And then it's something after a ridiculously overpriced economy, then you have pullbacks later on. My realistic thought process is 400 to 600 in 2026, and then look for 1,000 sometime in 2027 in an extended bull run. But if we don't get this stuff happening, if we don't see a bull run extend, again, 190, I'm taking some profit at 190, and I want to watch, do we get the breakthrough or do we reject? Then I make a lot of other decisions about my portfolio.
All right. Well, there you have it, guys. Tim is on Solana as his #1 token, I feel like, right now. So a big one for sure. Hey, Tim, it was great having you in. Thanks a lot for jumping into the show today.
Absolutely, Paul. Thanks for having me again.
If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, drop a comment down below, and also join our free private member group. The link is in the description.